What's up, viewers, subscribers, and agents alike? This is your boy Light Luciferian Prince coming at y'all once again. I want to give a shout out to everybody who's been emailing me, everybody who's been supporting the channel, making sure we keep rocking with the content, making sure we keep the stuff going, and making sure we just stay up to speed with the general subject matter of this channel. Now, what I'm about to delve into is another segment of this channel I think should be touched upon because I know that it's one of the most important parts of the segment of the education on my channel. Now, it's one of those roads less traveled, and I know that it might be hard for a lot of people to assess, you see what I'm saying, or try to, delve into because of the technicalities of it all. But on my channel, I'm only here to help simplify a lot of the obscurities about the legal system. And yes, this might piss off a lot of agents, which I don't care, because at the same token, people, the price of the truth for anything, for what it's worth, is your own personal liberality in regards to your existence. We, as a culture, have to learn how to shake off the reins of the so-called mental bondage that we've been placed in as a society, of the fear factor, and start practicing power. Because little do you know, the knowledge that you obtain and the way that you practice it and the way that you actually implement it means everything as it regards to your future for how you wish to actually maintain on this so-called plot of land we call, quote unquote, United States, which is a corporation. So people, without further ado, let me say this before I proceed. I'll say two things. One, this does not constitute legal advice, nor does it constitute anything, quote unquote, anti-government, because the people are the government. The sole purpose of this information is for educational and informational purposes only. And number two, if you're watching this video around children, please remove your children from this space because this is adult-based content. Now, if you have children that are of the legal age, that you wish to have them embark upon this path for proper understanding, then it is what it is. As long as they are legal, it is what it is. That is your choice. That is your consent that you grant them to actually hear the discourse of these videos. Now, let's talk about the courtroom agenda. Yes, people, this has been something that has confounded many Americans. Well, we say Americans based upon the distinction of the social collective. But just to keep it general and not to be too esoteric about the standing that most people have as far as their distinguishing factors are concerned and how they looked at the system, we're just going to just say that, just to keep it simple. But the agenda of the courtroom, people, is not about justice. It's not about these so-called doctrines of jurisprudence that they have placed in law books and have so-called fictionally placed in law shows and dramas and court TV and all of this fictional bullshit that they place out there in society. Let me tell you something. If a crime consists of injury to a party or a person or their property or their being, why is it that we live in a continent where people who actually murder multiple people get book and movie deals and can actually profit off of the death and misery of other people? Because that's what the court system is. It's profit. The court system is all based upon profit. The court system is based upon the notion that most people have to take it into strict consideration that they are being used for profit. So, the courtroom agenda, again, people, it's not about justice. It's about profit. Now, those people who have a Black's Law dictionary, those people who strap and saddle into the definitions of the legalese, or what I call the rigmarole of the legal system, know exactly that it's a doublespeak when it comes down to legal terminology. Now, when people are often accused of something, such as a crime or an infraction, so to speak, because crimes and infractions are different. A crime is something that consists of an injured party or an injured party's property. That's a crime. Now, if it's an infraction, that's something that is punishable by a fine or a fee or some other transfer of the principal obligation, which I'll get to at another segment later down the line. But to keep it simple, the object of the court is to place a claim against somebody or someone's corporate personam, and then they want you, the natural person, to accept the liability. How do they do that? They do that by coercion and duress. They do it by coercion and duress because they know for a fact that they dupe you through fraudulent and misleading representations by sending you court notices that are in an all caps name, which in and of itself is called fraudulent and misleading representations. And they compel you by judiciary process or by force to appear at a certain date and time for the entity that's on paper. What you need to understand is that you have to separate your natural self and your corporate self because you are not the same. The corporate entity that's on the paper is considered the mirror image. It is not you. It has no likeness to you. It has no physical form. It has no so-called semblance to who you are. It just sounds like it's you. However, this is the biggest mistake most people make when they go to court, or when they don't go to court, I should say. They often assume that based upon this generalization of the knowledge that they don't have to. That is your biggest mistake. What you need to do is actually go and appear in a general appearance, and as a special appearance and not general, because only those people who are compelled unwittingly are those who are misled into these maritime admiralty contracts, also called court cases or docket numbers. Now, when you go as a special appearance, you're not going there to accept the liability of the court system. You're only going there to clarify who you are and who you are not. You are the natural person. Who they want to appear is the corporate strawman. All you're there to do is to basically say, I'm only here to represent the corporate entity, and I'm not here to accept the liability under no circumstances. That's all you're there for. You don't give information. You don't argue the charge. You don't argue the amount. You give no specific information pertaining to any detail as opposed to the claim against you. The only thing that you do is rebut by affidavit of specific negative averment, because every document that's drew up against you in court pertaining to a claim is drew up against a corporation. Stop arguing like the straw man and start learning the power of attorney in fact to keep yourself out of that liability. Your objective, whenever you go into any sort of commerce with any entity, is to keep your natural being out of liability. So, if indeed, I'm going to make an example. They say that you are charged. Notice the word charge strictly deals with commerce. It doesn't deal with punishment factor, except as that is what is drawn up with the contract to transfer the principal obligation to you, to make you responsible for something that the government otherwise took upon itself to otherwise draw up against you and make you think that you have to pay it. But you, being the unwitting servant of a quote-unquote ultra-wires quasi-legal government that makes you believe that you've done something, you go in there and submit to the will and jurisdiction, and they take you on your word because now they have shifted the transfer of the principal obligation to you. They shifted the liability onto you, and all they need now in order to enforce their contracts is one of two things: subject matter jurisdiction, and they need your signature. Notice what a signature is according to the etymological sense. Signature, your sign of nature. It is something that proves that the natural person exists as an accommodation party, according to the banking dictionary, that you are signing something in accordance with accommodating a documentation. UCC 341 tells you about accommodation of documentation. Then you sign it, and now you become the surety for the straw man of the fraudulent documentation that the court system has drew up. Now, what does the judge do? The judge now turns the judgment into what? A prosecutorial bond. So that means that everybody else in the courtroom gets paid, and everyone that's sitting there through the whole dog and pony show get paid while you are considered the offender. Let's break down the word offender. Off-ender, which means you caught the shit end of the stick while you assume the liability, they receive the benefits. And that's why a lot of people lose in court. Straight, it's commercial. I don't care what no one says. This is all proven by Law Dictionary and Banking Dictionary. If you understand what the word bench means from the Latin translation, transitive verb, which means actual something that is physical, it means banco. And if you understand what the word banco means, and the chief judge is actually sitting on the bench, if you understand the root definition of the word banco, it means bench or money changer. So now what they're doing is taking something under the guise of the law merchant, and they're transforming it into something that is monetized, and you accept the responsibility because you accepted the off end of the prosecutorial bond. Do I need to say it again? Because I'm not. I'm not going to say it again. You know why? Because long long have I sat here and on the YouTube and sat on these channels and nobody explains this shit in explicit detail. See, they lead y'all through the woods, making y'all not see the trees, only to get more paper from you. See, if you're going to expound on knowledge, you have to do it properly in order for people to grasp the concept of what you're trying to get them to understand and know that the legal secret society will never even teach their own the secret mechanisms of how the law system works. If they did, they will be cognitively dissonant about how the system functions. That's just the way it is. Because there are some well-meaning people in the world. Not everybody's a fucking ghoul and a goblin. That's the truth. But if you are outside the know and certain things are unknown to your mentality as opposed to how you digest certain functions of knowledge, especially in this round, when it comes to the legal secret society, then you have to understand that these people don't want to take a loss. So they have to only give it to their initiates. Those people who are chosen for a specific purpose. Many times in legal systems, they often get this information through nepotism. Usually, my dad, my grandfather, they pass down through lineage. So this is something that keeps their family cushy, nice and cozy, because it's nothing more than a slave-based system. One thing that people have to understand is that commerce has no recognition of color. It has no recognition of color because people need to get that through their head where when it comes down to slavery, it all has to do with classism and a certain type of knowledge that has been expounded upon a certain degree of people. See, when you realize that these people in society look at you as profane and look at you as something that is unclean, then these things are doctrines that are foreign to masses of people. And that's why the prison industrial complex in America is so full, because they know that they're giving you the poorest sort of education in order for you to be cannon fodder for their commercial system. That's why it's a lot of people who are in prison who will work like a fucking beast and not get paid a cent before they actually have the obligation upon themselves of free will to actually work in society and gain a meaningful living and wage for themselves. That to me proves that the education that has been given to the public has been given to them to totally drive society fucking backwards. Then what they do is they give a false sense of free will and public advocacy on behalf of the public faith that they have in the system. Because yes, there's a lot of blind people out there who believe that these people are just right, even though they do not know the practice of law is very deceptive. Yes, your objective is to not try to shirk your responsibility. Your objective is to stand up as a proper representative in propria personam and say who you are and who you are not. And you are not here to accept liability or responsibility on behalf of a fraudulent, faceless entity. Because take it into consideration, whenever you sign anything, I don't care if it's a loan, I don't care if it's a ticket, I don't care if it's in a probation contract, I don't care if I don't give a fuck what it is. Credit card, I don't care. You're the only person who's signing for the liability. You are now invited into the world of what is called unilateral contracts. That's a one signature contract designated to keep you enslaved to a commercial system, to keep you enslaved to the economic system. That's a fucking fact. One signature contracts can only be enforced upon the person who signed it. Now, the one thing about contracts is they're very deceptive, but the good news is that every time a contract is actually obligated upon, you can actually cancel it based upon the misleading representations of it being false. You must challenge it. For those of you out there in the world who actually deal with parole and probation, do a habeas corpus. Yes, because you have to actually expound upon the knowledge that these people did some fraudulent, fucked up shit that you weren't aware of. In order for any contract to be valid, it has to have full disclosure. Meaning, you have to tell me the ins and outs of this, not just on the surface level as it's being presented, because that's all it is at a time, as a presentment. It's something given as offered. Then once you sign it, it becomes an accommodated documentation, which now becomes a unilateral contract, which holds the entity that extended it to you, the natural person, harmless, and it holds you fully liable for the extension of the contract until it's terminated. That's something that it was never taught to society as a whole. That's something that in this YouTube and multimedia universe that we live in has never been expounded upon, because no one can ever connect the fucking dots. The problem with a lot of people is that they sit here on these channels and they sit here and gurulize you. Yes, that's my word. They gurulize you and to make you believe that they have the answers, and they fucking don't, because it's all within the contract. It is all about consent. Once you stop giving your consent, And once you start questioning everything that's placed before you, and once you start learning how to actually accommodate documentations, you'll keep your natural self, your being, your spirit, your particular essence out of the bondage system called the Mundy prison system. Those who don't believe me, look up the legal definition of hell in Black's Law Dictionary. It will shock the shit out of you. Yes, it will. Now, I'm not going to ruin it because that will totally take out the fun and excitement of research and education. Look it up. See, you were taught that hell was the place that you go after you die, not knowing that when you were born, you were considered civiliter mortuus. You were already considered civilly dead. Now, what you need is something to save you or some sort of salvation. See, this is where the Roman Catholic doctrine and the so-called court system line up. Because like I said before in previous videos, the court system is owned by the church, according to a doctrine called unum sanctum, where the Pope declared, thrice great, considered himself the owner and the allodial title holder of everything on the face of this earth, including the souls of human beings. Why do y'all think that every time you turn to a crime series or some sort of documentary notion about somebody's particular life who's on death row, who is the first person to get involved in a death row case? The Pope always has to have his nose in some shit. You know why? Because he's the ecclesiastical superhead over the particular entity we call the ecclesiastical court system. Because it's all about souls. It's all about imprisoning souls. It's all about giving people some sort of perpetual bondage underneath a predisposed legal doctrine called unum sanctum. Yes, people, if you don't believe what I'm saying, do your fucking research. Look it up. If you don't wish to do your research, please stop this video and go watch something else. Because at this point, if you're not grasping what I'm saying, it's just entertainment to you. You're not even hearing or listening to what I'm saying. You're just listening to the words and the verbiage, but you're not grasping what I'm saying because you probably don't even have a pen and paper at this moment. And that's the sad part. But as long as you stay idle in your mentality and your spiritual development, then they keep winning. See, the number one fixation that they have as far as the system is concerned, because the system's not the problem. It's the people who have no knowledge of how it works and they have no actual assertion to actually force themselves to the sovereign state. See, everybody wants to be sovereign and secure, but no one wants to implement it because they get shut down on every angle. Years ago, I've had people say, oh, this stuff doesn't work. This is one of those scams or whatever. Bro, because you have no nuts. You ain't got no balls because you want someone to do something for you. So you got to get off that dependency, that titty in the mouth behavior, and learn how to stand on your own motherfucking 10 toes and learn how to take it to these folks because they don't have no problem taking it to you. See what I'm saying? Because the job and objective is to rob you of your hard-earned wages, your net, your gross, not your income, and to often keep you into a state of never surpassing the self-actualization and to keep you in the hamster wheel and keep you on a plantation with everybody else, never give you time to think, never give you an opportunity to actually self-actualize, and to keep you in fear and imprisonment. Yes, people, just because you've never been to jail doesn't mean you don't live in one right now. Because the difference between prison and jail that people are physically placed into by force and yours is you willingly accept yours day by day. You have a routine, you have a schedule, you have these obligations. You feel as if you are locked in some sort of compendium where you have to basically, I have to do this, I have to do that. But you don't have to. That voice that's in your subconscious that someone else programmed makes you do it. So before people say this stuff doesn't work, first off, try it in your own personal life before you knock it. And then once you start trying it on certain successes, things start to move out of your way. Now, am I saying go out there and be an anarchist? Am I saying go out there and be some sort of vigilante? Of course not. Because the number one path to sovereignty is peace. So a lot of people don't understand that the way to life is peace. But you live in a territory of people who over the years have shown you that they are totally incapable of being peaceable people under any circumstance. Am I saying you have to go combat them with their tactics? No, because they follow the low road. Your job as the sovereign, as the head of your own state, as the head of your own abilities and your consciousness is to never sink to the level of a beast, but to always tame the beast by being what? The master of it. Once you tame the beast, remember, You feed the beast. So as long as you keep feeding the beast will keep coming at you. Stop feeding the beast starves, and eventually the beast has to go somewhere else. I can't make it any more simpler than that. Learned a very significant truth in less than 20 minutes. People, I say these things because this is the agenda of the legal system. It's not about justice, people. Just like when that whole situation happened with Derek Chauvin. I don't know why people were sitting here happy. I don't know why people of color were sitting here elated. Yeah, it seems all right. It's all about the political theater. But the reason why they really didn't want that to be a not guilty verdict is because they were still repairing certain cities and certain entities that were affected by quote unquote COVID-19 were still repairing the damage from the year previous. So they couldn't toe that bill. What really stopped people as far as the structure in the court system it goes, we already seen what happened. It was political drama, melodrama at that. But what stopped them was the simple fact that what it took place was that they couldn't toe that bill. It was capitalism that made that man guilty. It wasn't about the popular opinion or social media outreach of the public. They don't give a fuck about you. So hard facts for you to actually sit here and actually accept, but it's the truth. You know, American socialistic capitalism is what stopped them from actually saying not guilty. If they could, they would have said it. And then it would have been like Rodney King back in the 90s. They tore some shit up. And they know that people was ready because they worked the agitation up to a pitch and they knew that people would snap. They're only giving you a semblance of justice, people. Semblance. It's theater. Trust me. This is something that you really have to get involved and you get embedded in your conscience before it's too fucking late. See, the thing that people see that's going on out here in society, they see that things are getting worse. They're not getting worse. They've already been this way. You're just being exposed to a lot more of it because you have free access to information and a lot more time to internalize it now that you're not being sociable about it with certain people in society. And they know that. It's perfectly fucking fine. They get it. People, stay awake. Do not let these people for 1 second convince you of anything else. You know? Stay in tune. That's all I just tell people on my channel. If you don't want to stay in tune, man, go to fuck to bed. You know what I'm saying? Hit this video, shut it off, swallow the blue pill, wake up in the morning like I never said nothing. But those people who know what I'm saying is very true, who have the information, you know what I'm saying is very real. You know, I extend a lot of my personal time, sweat equity, into giving people the proper understanding. You know, hey, hit me up via email, so forth and so on. Serious inquiries only. Please do not waste my time. One thing I cannot stand in my personal life is wasting my time. If you don't receive a phone call from me or email or whatever the case may be, in normal sense, my intuition already tells me you're wasting my time. Now, the only way a man can thoughtfully and physically tread and manipulate his way through these tepid waters is basically with no weight upon his shoulders. None. That's how you can carefully and strengthfully manipulate your way through these so-called waters that we call maritime admiralty. I don't have time to take on other people's burden. I'm here to explain simplistic truths with equivocative knowledge to actually compound what a person's situation is in order for them to thrive. I'm not here to fish for you. So a lot of these other people that sitting here telling y'all and convince y'all they can do something for y'all that you're not willing to do for yourself, you're falling into a trap. You're falling into a trap, what we call reliance and dependency. Because if you're not willing to actually be independent, which basically means you yourself am Lord and Master, and you practice the principles of peace, and you practice the principles of geometry in your own life, and you stand on your square, then guess what? You are the Lord and Master. I myself am Lord and Master. I self am Lord and Master. So if you don't understand those principles, then I'm talking to a brick wall. If you walk around with the predisposed notion of fear, understand that your enemy fears you more than you fear the enemy. That's why they have to drive it into you, because you didn't wake up in the morning, I hope you don't, with the predisposition of instilling fear in other people. That's why every time you turn around, social media or the like, it's always fearfulness. And they're trying to paralyze your initiative, because what does that do? Even on a molecular level, it releases free radicals in your body and it throws your nervous system into a panic. So you can't think properly. So your brain's clogged up with these signals in which you can't think properly, and that's the way they want to keep you, disheveled. So those people who want to live a pure life, who want to live in the proper respects, of their own natural right that their creator gave them, it is what it is. The road that leads to life ain't hard. That destructive path, all that toxicity that they spew at you on every angle, hey, if you have so much of that in your life, do not contact me. And agents, you know exactly who I'm talking to. But those people who actually wish to embellish upon their path of self-independence peacefully, it is what it is. But I will tell you, do not lose your warrior instinct or your warrioress instinct, because that's all you have at the beginning and the end of the day. Your job is to protect yourself and to live peaceably with all men. That's why those who have the hardware, they know that what I'm saying is true. You have a peace declaration that you send to public officials. I'm not here to start shit, but I will tell you that if it comes down to me having to defend myself, I will. Now, I'm not here to go out here and cause chaos and drama and dissension. I'm here to live peaceably, to mind my business, and to make sure that what I inherit, as far as what I do by sweat equity, and I actually accumulate in my proper walk in life, is mine and is not to be taken by anybody. You live amongst brutes who don't understand that in the simplistic text. And what they do is they try to implement systems amongst many people. Don't care race, don't care ethnicity. That shit don't matter. It don't matter, because the only color that matters at the end of the day is black, gold, and green at the end of the day. And we know what that is. So stay aware, stay awake. If this is your first time viewing this channel, like and subscribe. It is what it is. If this is your first time actually viewing this content of this channel, make sure you go ahead and smash that like button, smash subscribe, share the videos. It is what it is. This is not here to shed dissension amongst the conscientiousness of people. This is here to spread awareness about something that you obviously have never or will never be educated about in the public spectrum. See, they teach you these paltry truths. And they teach you these paltry opinions and these, pseudo, ideologies. I'm here to kick the facts, the ballistics with the statistics, the receipts to prove it. Like I said, if you have a Black's Law dictionary, look it up. If you have the actual, time and ability to do so, and you can socially train your mind mentally to look into these higher concepts, please do so. If you have the ability to circumnavigate and research, and take your time and ingest this stuff, please do so. If you don't have the gall or the balls to do this, shut it down, because your system is not ready to embark upon this path. And that's true. See what I'm saying? That's a very exponential truth. But if you are significantly mature in your walk, guess what? You will grow, and you will grow exponentially. It doesn't matter about age. It doesn't matter about degreeage. It doesn't matter about paperwork. It doesn't matter about any of that. Those are the world's measurements, certain things. That's how the world measures itself. You're not here to measure yourself by the gauge of the world, but by the measure of the spirit. Peace, light, love. Agents, do not contact me whatsoever. I do not consent, nor do I oblige. Nothing I do on my channel is illegal. Now, the day that thought crimes become illegal, now we have a reason to tangle. Until then, there's nothing legislated on any type of books whatsoever in any state that says that speaking out against the oppression and injustices of a quote-unquote ultra-wires corporation is illegal. This ain't Minority Report. Y'all stay tuned for the next upload. Peace, light, love. Stay safe. And all those people who out there trying to push that vaccination on y'all, don't get it. You'll sadly regret it. You won't live long enough to regret it.